Hello, so today I'm going to talk about Slayers and give you a little bit of a how to play guide with Slayers. Originally I was just going to do this mostly as a VOD review going through a Shaco game, but I'm going to start by just giving a general overview of the Slayer trait because I haven't done a video dedicated to Slayers on this channel, and then we're going to go through the different variations, some of the win conditions for the different styles of Slayer comps. And then I'll show you a VOD where I can go through some of the gameplay, because I know whenever I make these videos, a lot of people ask for gameplay or examples in order to see how to win out with a certain comp. If you like my content, make sure to like and subscribe. This one's going to be like a hybrid VOD review slash little bit of a guide. I just want to try and combine them together, see how it works out. Sometimes I'm doing more for fun content, and other times I'm doing some other VOD reviews. I think the most fun game I had was the one of yesterday's, the Button Mash Poppy, which has an insane ending. So if you want to check that out, that's really cool, and also has a Slayer board that I'm fighting up against, so you can even see a Slayer example by watching that VOD as well. But anyways, let's get straight into it. So with Slayers, basically it's up to 6 Slayer. The Slayer trait gives AD, so it gives attack damage and Omnivamp. And then if you overheal, so if you're healing above 100, it will then heal the excess 50% of the amount to the lowest HP Slayers. They have a self-sustaining effect to them, especially if you can stack them really high in terms of the damage or their one-shot potential where they're doing like insane burst damage. So it starts with 2 Slayer, obviously. 2 Slayer and 4 Slayer, they have the same amount of Omnivamp, but it scales the AD drastically. So from 2 to 4, it goes from 15 to 40 AD. And then 6 Slayer gives you an extra 5% Omnivamp, and then just drives that AD to a ridiculously high number, which is 70%. When you think about your Slayer units, you actually have a wide variety of them that interchange themselves with a lot of different traits. I think Slayer, in terms of the design of the trait, like how it flows into different traits, I actually like I like a lot. It's one of my more favorite ones, just the way that it intertwines really nicely into many different boards, and it has been relevant in many different ways throughout the set. But basically you have Mundo, who is your 1 cost that you can use as a early tank item holder. Jarvan, who's going to be your main tank in a lot of cases. 3 synergies, Goldenox, Vanguard, and the Slayer's trait. We have our carries usually, which is going to be one of these ones. Our backline carries either being Vayne or Senna, or playing around Shaco or Zed. When you're playing around the Slayer comp, a lot of times it usually devolves into rerolling, because besides Zed, most of the units are going to be lower cost units, and you also have this shared synergy, Slayer synergy and cost between the Jarvan and the Senna, so a lot of the high cap Slayer boards actually go for Jarvan 3 and Senna 3. Now, when you think about Slayer boards, there's 2 different variations typically that you end up playing around. That's either going to be playing around Vayne reroll or Shaco reroll. The way the Slayers typically work, just as a general explanation, is that you usually want to reroll a lower cost unit, which then stabilizes you for much of your mid game, the same way rerolls work, and then it gives you the time to then sustain yourself to go for Jarvan 3, Senna 3, which then caps your board really high, because Senna 3 just absolutely chunks and does insane damage. So your goal always, whenever you're playing around these boards, is to try and eventually hit Senna 3. Now, if you try and skip the stages of going for either Shaco 3 or Vayne 3, then you might have a really awkward game where you never really end up being super stable finding the Senna 3, and it could be a very temperamental or awkward comp. Particularly, it's because Zed himself usually fits himself better into other boards. He works a lot better if you're playing like vertical Divinicorp, which we talked about before. There's a nice Divinicorp Slayer line I talk about a lot on my channel. There's a video around it already, so you go check those out. Or you're playing Zed with Cypher, which you then get almost as much AD from Slayer, but you get a lot more sustain, a lot more power, and it's just a much easier win condition. So typically you'll just play Zed with a Cypher board instead. So when you're playing around Vayne reroll, she just recently got buffed. It's something that works pretty well with this comp. But basically what you would do is you don't really go for 6 Slayer unless you have an emblem. A lot of times you just play 4 Slayer and 4 Vanguard. Vayne is a unit where she ramps up very effectively, so a lot of times what you're trying to put on her is like the whole Guidzu Kraken style build. So you're not playing deep into Slayer, you just want this Vayne to basically build up herself into a one-shot potential, so attack speed and the ramping Kraken's Fury works really well with her. And then with the Slayer effect of like healing your front line, a lot of times you go for Vayne 3, and then often you will then roll for Jarvan 3, Senna 3. A lot of times you roll a little bit on stage 2, Like you'll roll a little bit for you'll roll a little bit on level 6, like stage 3 for the Vayne, but a lot of times you're going to spend a lot of your gold on level 7 because the entire board is complete on level 7 with 4 Vanguard, 4 Slayer, and then eventually you're going for Vayne items, eventually going for Senna items. Senna works really well with like crit just because she gets a lot of AD, but a lot of times like damage amp also works well, and similarly damage amp works well on the Vayne. The way Vayne works, that she does this extra bonus true damage, typically is not that good with a crit pairing, so a lot of times the last item that you put on her is either going to be damage amp or more AD scaling. So a lot of times something like a Giant Slayer used to be like a go-to build for her. And this was something that existed very early on in the set, so if this is like a flashback deja vu, this was something that was good in the first couple weeks of the set, was Vayne reroll with a very similar build to this, except Senna was a little bit worse back then, so a lot of it was more focused on the Vayne 3 and the Jarvan 3, and Jarvan 3 was like broken at the start of the set. This was like a very strong comp. Eventually you can go for Zed items as well, because you can go finish off some units, and then you also have Anima activated, which works really well to just give a little bit of extra front line, and then to sustain your board. Typically, this variation is what I would consider to be a little bit temperamental, a little bit weak, because the Vayne ramps up really well with attack speed. The main thing that you usually want to go for when you're playing around this comp is Ornn artifacts. Ornn artifacts are massive, and they're usually going to help you out a lot. So Vayne, I think she can work okay with Wit's End, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't think that's like her main. That's not usually the main go-to one. Typically, it's just Flicker Blade. Flicker Blade basically has the effect of the previous Gwinsu, where your auto attack stack continually a stacking attack speed. So anybody that wants to auto attack a bunch, Flicker Blade's going to be perfectly great on them. So Flicker Blade on Vayne, and then similar build, like you would usually go like Flicker Blade, Kraken, and then +1, and you would gain all your attack speed from Flicker Blade. This is a comp that I would say, me personally, you can be a little bit different, but me personally, I would not play this comp unless I had Flicker Blade. I think that's a little bit too temperamental. There's some other Ornn artifacts that are okay. I played it one time because it was a reroll sub. Like, I think you can bust this out if it's like, you know, a lot of people rerolling your lobby and reroll sub and something like that. I played it with snipers and it was pretty good, right? Just getting damage amp because I missed on my Ornn artifact and didn't get Flicker Blade. So I really think that you need some sort of power spike on the unit in order to make this a little bit effective. And then you can still play for placements, but like I said, I would want an extra sauce on there, like something like a scaling AD one, like either something like Flicker Blade or snipers could also be pretty good, right, in my experience. The other variation of Slayer, which is the one that the VOD is going to be on right now, is Slayer with Shaco. So typically you'll end up with a board that looks like this. You'll be playing 6 Slayer, and then instead of playing the full Vanguard frontline, we then go for 6 Slayer, and we activate Syndicate. Sorry, I missed a unit here. But basically, the Syndicate line with Bruisers, both Darius and the Vanguard with Braum, actually synergizes perfectly with the Slayer synergies, which is the Mundo and the Jarvan. It's actually very similar to Divinicorp, which is why I mentioned Divinicorp Slayer. Divinicorp Slayer used to be a very popular line where you play like level 8 and you play around Zed, and still something that's kind of viable. It's just a little bit temperamental because it's hard to stabilize unless you hit Zed too. But typically, even these, you have the Bruiser and Vanguard synergies, so you can activate 2 Bruiser, 2 Vanguard, and synergize with all the Slayer units. So it's a really interesting design because it actually fits well with a lot of different boards. When you're playing around Shaco, basically, you're going for Shaco 3-star. Shaco has permanent scaling. So as Shaco gets kills, he will continue to gain AD, and that will just make him an absolute demon later. Because he's scaling his AD infinitely, you want to give him good items that can support that. A lot of times it's going to be some rendition of QSS or attack speed, but typically QSS. You just want to be uninterrupted and doing damage. There's lots of different Shaco builds you can make. A lot of the time, I usually go for something like Hodge, QSS, and what's the other one? I'm looking for Edge of Night. 1 second. And it looks really wonky, but basically, if you scale your Shaco effectively, he's going to have enough AD to basically just like one-shot or kill a bunch of units anyways. So he's going to be really strong in that early game to mid game to late game. However, he sometimes just ints, like he just dies instantly because he'll either get stunned, which is why you need the QSS, or he'll like do his Kingpin bonus from Syndicate, where he'll like disappear and then just die instantly because he'll like teleport right in enemy lines, like behind a unit, and then he'll just get targeted and he'll die. So I feel like Edge of Night is pretty essential. It's a lot better if you have the Edge of Night augment. That's why the item looks a lot better on him if you look at stats and stuff like that. But I still think it's pretty important. So usually I'll do something like this, or I'll swap this out for healing. Or if I'm able to make it to 6 Slayer pretty effectively, that I know I'm going to have enough Omnifam through that, then I'll go for something like Asterix as well. Items on are very flexible. You could even go for full damage if you feel like you have good augments that provide sustain. You can even go for something crazy like this, where you just go like full crit and you just have him like one-shot nuke units one at a time as he kills them. But the attack speed is really important. Additionally, there's 2 or 3 win conditions with Shaco. So similarly to Vayne, Ornn artifacts are massive with this unit. Here I just sorted out very briefly. You can see that the average placement isn't that good. Like I said, it's not a super strong comp. So what I would suggest is that you should only really play Shaco if you have some sort of the win condition to apply to it. Most of the AD Ornn artifacts are really good on him. Some of them need a particular build, something like Fishbone's Rapid Fire or even Titanic Hydra. I think this one's just a little bit skewed. It's very low sample size. I don't think it's particularly great because he doesn't have a lot of HP. But a lot of the other items like Snipers, Prowler's Claw, even Flicker Blade, but maybe not that one as much. That might be like specific build, because there's another build we're going to talk about in a second. But namely, these 3 are like the big ones that you look for, right? Death's Defiance, Mittens. Mittens is great. You just have a bunch of attack speed. He runs around a lot faster, a lot less downtime where he's just walking around taking damage. And Spectral Cutlass, the one cheese effect. You just scam a backline, just disappear, reappear on the backline, just instantly one tap them. You get a bunch of AD, critical strike chance, and you get resistances with it. It's absolutely broken, right? These are the Ornn artifacts that you're looking for. So a lot of times if you're playing around Shaco, what I would recommend is that you have to have a really good spot, because you want to hit the Shaco 3 really early. You want to hit him as soon as possible so that he gets his scaling, or else if you don't stack the AD, you're going to be in a bad spot. Or the other win condition, Ornn artifacts, or the other win condition, which is scoped weapons. Scope weapons absolutely busted. Basically, you turn him into an infinite range backline unit with a bunch of attack speed, basically everything that he wants to be, and this unit basically becomes a monster. When you do this, don't syndicate bonus him, syndicate bonus your Braum, and just let him rip. And similar to the other lines, you basically get the Shaco, you go to level 7, and then you roll for Senna 3, Jarvan 3. With this case, you can also roll for Braum 3. Even if you're not scoped weapons, you can roll for Braum 3 as well. This board is a little bit more high cap, so you do have to complete the board on level 8. And then after that, you can go for Garen to transfer stuff. And if you have a Syndicate emblem, you can also, or sorry, if you have either a Syndicate emblem or if you have a Slayer emblem, you could also throw in Renekton, get some extra stats, some attack speed. But anyways, that was the overview, the guide portion. So I tried to limit it and do it as fast as possible. Now we're actually going to go through the gameplay. So this is a game I played, I think a little bit earlier today. I think it was this morning. But basically, I'm going to skip a little bit in the intro and just kind of talk about it. But basically, I start the game off. I have a Shaco 2-star, as you can see. This is really important because if I'm trying to commit to Shaco, as you can see, I already have 4 copies of Shaco. That's almost halfway the amount of Shacos that I need in order to be successful with this comp and hitting Shaco 3. Like I said, you have to have a really good spot if you're trying to commit towards this board. But as you can see here, I'm just going to collect some units. It's just my stage 2. Obviously, I just bought the unit pairs, and it turned out that I have a Shaco and I have 4 copies of Shaco. So I'm leaving it on the table because if I get an augment that really supports it, right? If I get scoped weapons, obviously that's like an instant win. You can pretty much beat any board in the game with that if you have it from a good spot. Or if I get artifacts, that can also work out really well. So I'm going to hold on to these Shacos because there is a potential that I can win out in that way. And we're just going to see how it goes. Of course, you know where this is going. I'm not going to commit to Shaco unless I have a good spot. First augment that I see, Portable Forge, choose one of 4 artifacts. So it's not complete RNG because there are so many hits for the artifacts. You know, if you're getting a choice of 4 or 5 artifacts and you have infinite, even Cooking Pot could also work with the Slayer emblem, by the way. But I think artifact is just so much more important here. So we're totally down for just Portable Forge. Send it. And as you can see, you got 4 options. There's like 30 artifacts and there's like 10 of them that are okay on Shaco or okay with the comp in general. So there's a good chance that you're going to hit something. If not, you can always just like, you know, play Shaco tempo into something else. That's totally fine as well. But I hit Spectral Cutlass. You can see it right over here. Boom, Spectral Cutlass. So I'm just going to play towards Spectral Cutlass. The really important thing is getting stacks early. That's the most important thing with Shaco all the time. Stacks on stage 2, some people will argue whether or not they're like really important or not so important, but every kill that Shaco gets, he gets stacking AD. So if you want to keep up with stage 4 and stage 5, you need to get the stacking AD going as much as possible. So here, I'm in a Spectral Cutlass. Nobody's going to be ready for it on the first turn, which is great for me. I whiffed because I obviously fought somebody that's not on the same side, but we're going to work through this and we're going to go for it. Now, I think I sold one of my Shacos already to make Econ. What did I sell it for? I sold it for a Kog'Maw. Yeah, I had 4 Shacos. I should have held the last Shaco. I think I was already contemplating not playing Shaco because I've gotten burned in the past. So I did sell one Shaco. So, you know, if you really want to play Slayers, go for it. I just got burned so many times. So I sold it for Kog'Maw because I said to myself, I think I can streak better with the Kog'Maw. And the main reason I thought that is because I looked at my items, right? I don't really have Shaco items. I had a Kog'Maw item. So that's why I sold the Shaco. I know this is obviously hindsight. Gwinsu is not particularly good on Shaco. It's really good if you're playing scoped weapon Shaco, but it's okay on him. It is attack speed, so you could put it on him, which if I start to win streak, I will probably slam Gwinsu at one point. You might see me do that in like, you know, a turn or two just to preserve the amount of damage that I'm doing. Yeah, so it's fine. So we go Gwinsu, right? Because Gwinsu eventually can go on Senna. It's not like 100% incredible on Senna, but it's fine. It's totally fine. She just has attack speed. And it works a lot better now because it gives continual attack speed. Before, the old Gwinsu wasn't very good on her. Or I can put on Vayne if I end up going that route as well. But we just want this stacking attack speed because when you have stacking AD, it means that your auto attacks also do damage. So Shaco, yes, he has his ult where he teleports and he does like a big chunk, but he actually does a lot of damage by just auto attacking. Because if you scale your AD infinitely, then every single auto attack that he does is going to do a massive chunk of damage. So stuff like attack speed, it really helps him to get to a point where he actually kills a unit because you basically chunk them down and then you get the kill. So it's really good. But anyways, we just keep going. This is a positioning trick that I do sometimes, which I don't know if this is 100% true all the time, but I don't, like, you know, usually you're putting Spectral Cutlass in one of these corners and then he teleports to the opposite side. I found that if they put 2 units in the back row and you teleport, it's like a 50-50 on which one he hits, and I don't know the exact reason why, like if you can make him always hit one side or the other side. However, I found that if you put him in this corner, like he won't teleport here, instead he'll teleport over here, and then he always targets this corner, right? And same on this side, he always targets this corner. So I don't know if this is true or not. Like, I don't know, I haven't tested it enough. This is just something that I tried recently when I had Spectral Cutlass with like a Graves a couple games ago, and I was like, I think this is how this works, because like maybe I heard it like in my subconscious, I remember hearing it from someone. But like, look at this fight, right? This person's, I'm assuming they're a really good player. This lobby has a couple challenger players. I'm not challenger, by the way. I'm still in masters, but my MMR is all fucked up because like I used to be grandmaster and I just haven't played a lot of games. So like I'm getting into lobbies with like grandmaster challengers and stuff. This is really good, by the way. Even if this person's master or something, this is a really good trick. If you put a unit here and you teleport here, Shaco will always target the unit in the front, by the way, right? That's a Spectral Cutlass trick. So like if you, like you see here, like if you put a unit like diagonally one away from the unit and the Shaco teleports right here, then it will always target this frontline unit. Always, always, always. He'll never turn around. Like, that's not a 50-50. It's like, the rule is he always targets the front row. So like, let's say your carry is here and your front line's here. If you put a tank here and somebody teleports here, they will always target this front line. It's a really good way of defending, especially if this unit has burst damage. Like, let's say you're playing Xayah. Like, this was the problem with, like, Xayah into these lines. Like, Xayah would just, like, one-tap this unit. They're just fucking dead. Because they're not targeting the Xayah. And then the Xayah targets right after he appears. And then, boom, they die. So this person was doing that trick. But this beats that trick because I'm closer to the Kog'Maw when I teleport. So, like, I don't know if this is real tech or if it's goofy tech. But this is what I was saying, you see? If I teleport here, I'll always target this guy. So, like, this is what I do nowadays, which I think has its own risks, because obviously if somebody puts a frontline tank over here, then I always target the front line. But it's just some positioning tips and tricks that in case you don't know about it, it might help you out if you're taking Spectral Cutlass to target the right unit. But basically, the way this works is it's just pure cheese. He's fucking dead. GG, right? Right when I start to get targeted, Spectral Cutlass, after a certain amount of time, I don't know what it is or when it is, but you basically just re-teleport back out so you can de-aggro as well. So basically, I just pop in, kill all the damage, get targeted, pop out, and we're fine. So a lot of times when you have Spectral Cutlass, you don't need things like Edge of Night, which opens up your flexibility on your items. You don't need as much survivability, because if you're going to the back line, you're likely not going to get stunned a lot of the time. So you might not need a QSS early game or in a lot of the fights. So you just have a lot of opportunities opened up for you. But I want to show you those positioning tricks, because hopefully if you're watching this to learn about the game and the comp and all of that, it might be a little bit better. Also, I want to see, is that the challenger player? I know 149 is a challenger player. No, I think mine is the challenger. Maybe they're Grandmaster. It was a really nice trick that they tried, but I think I had the leg up on them, because I can see what they were doing, and I knew that I would get around it. But anyway, stage 2, it's just gonna be me 5 streaking, right? This is what you want to see. Early Shaco 2, items as many as you can, slam your items, streak as much as possible. I got Senna here. After the first round, you'll see that I get some items. Omnivamp, even though you have Slayer, for most of the game, it's going to help you sustain yourself. Slayer does give Omnivamp, so you might say, I don't need Omnivamp, I have Slayer. No, always get Omnivamp, right? The reason you want Omnivamp... Also, wait, I'll show you... there's a couple things to do this round, so I'm going to pause, and then we're going to skip just to make the video shorter, because this round's very important. So first of all, Omnivamp, it's not overrated. I would definitely recommend making it, because you want the Shaco to survive. He's basically doing everything. You need him to survive. You can always move the Omnivamp onto another unit later if you really hate it when you get to 6 Slayer and you really want to just rely on the Slayer, but I don't think it's enough just to have the Slayer Omnivamp and the Slayer passive healing. So this is really important, especially early. Bloodthirster were my items, and I made Morello. Morello is just anti-heal, it's utility. I don't really have a use for a rod, because I already used a rod to make a Guinsoo. So I'm making Morello. Senna hits multiple units. She's going to apply the Morello. That's fine. We'll just rock this, right? I just want to slam all my items, be as strong as possible, because I want to make sure that my Shaco is getting stacks. You'll notice that I didn't roll for Shaco yet. You should always try and get Shaco 3 on 3-1. You want to have Shaco 3 at this point in the game. There are 2 other people rerolling 1 cost. Namely, there's a guy playing the Mundo reroll. Whenever, I even talked about this in the last video when I was playing live, playing around the Poppy, I always wait. If nobody is rolling for Shaco, they're not putting Shaco on their board. This unit doesn't make sense to play unless somebody is target griefing you. So nobody's going to even hold on to Shaco, right? It does not matter. Unless you're playing Shaco, this unit never makes it on a board. So I am waiting as long as I think I can manage to, you know, roll my little hands off later on in the round. I'm waiting so that they thin out the pool, right? If somebody else is rolling for 1 cost, let them hit all their 1 cost. Let them do the hard part of trying to find all the 1 cost. Thin out the pool, even if it's only for like a 1% better chance of seeing a Shaco, or a 2% better, even if it's the smallest chance difference that it makes, it helps me to hit my Shaco if they just remove more of the 1 cost from the game. So I wait, and then I'm going to roll later. And as you can see, now, obviously this is going to be high roll. Obviously, like, look how many Shacos. I see a Shaco in every single shop that I rolled. But I'm going to roll deep. I hit Shaco 3 and I have 30 gold. Like, it's a high roll game. We are now playing for a first. We have Ornn Artifact. We have Shaco 3 on 3-1. We're 5 streaking, which means our Shaco has been killing everything. So we have lots of stacks. We're going to continue to be strong. And I'm also, as you can see, I also leveled here really fast right before the round started. Right, 1 second to spare. I leveled so I can play 4 Slayer just to make sure I'm as strong as possible. And we're making 30. So obviously we're in a high roll spot. Boom, we're ready to go. We don't have Syndicate in. That's fine. We'll get Syndicate in later. And then I'm doing my same positioning trick. I like to put him in this corner instead of in the pure corner. It's just something that I found that is working out. I just killed the Vigor Wait, did it not work here? Wait, hold on. Am I dumb as bricks? What happened here? I thought it always targets the corner. Is it still a 50-50? Ah, it is still a 50-50. Okay, it's only on this side that it's not a 50-50. Okay, this side it's still a 50-50. My bad, okay? My bad. My bad. My bad. I guess if I make him teleport here, but then he might 50-50 the front line. Okay, only on this side it works because it's not symmetrical, the hexes. Okay, that's the trick. Okay, it's only on this side. I had a feeling this wasn't right because I haven't heard anybody else talk about it. And it's like, there's no way I'm the one discovering this shit. Okay, it's only on this side. So the Kog'Maw that I beat from this side, it only works on this side. This side is still a 50-50. Or maybe it always targets the second one. Who knows? I don't know. That part I don't know. This part, this side, teleporting here, I don't know. This side, teleporting here, I'm pretty confident you always target the corner. My bad. My bad, but we set the record straight. So stage 3, obviously is going to go just as well as the other stages did. It's an extra augment round, by the way, so we might get an extra augment over here. So as you can see, I'm just going to sit here, bide my time until I can push levels. We're just absolutely, like, there's nothing to see here. I'm just teleporting and killing backline units constantly, right? I'm just breaking people's ankles left and right. You know, uh-oh, Spaghetti-O, where's the fucking Seraphine? She's 6 feet in the fucking dirt. GG, shake my hand, it's over. Then we have next augment round. So here's the only part that's a little bit awkward. I didn't really hit a good augment. Forward thinking, too risky, because I already have most of my board. I don't really, as much as the extra gold will be really nice, it's really late, so I'm going to be without econ for a while. Health is wealth, I really don't think I need because it's just extra gold and Omnivamp, and I'm pretty okay on both those regards. And then Blazing Soul isn't particularly great because I don't really want extra AP. Like, there's very little AP scaling on this Shaco, so, you know. And then Noble Sacrifice, I don't like it that much. Scavenger is okay. Scavenger is really good if you're killing units fast, which I am doing with Shaco. So basically, the first 5 enemies that are killed, you get an extra item. However, this augment used to be bugged, where the items that it gives you are like not properly tailored to what the unit is, which still happens, by the way. It's better, but it still happens. So I hate taking this augment because sometimes my tank just gets like a Gwinsu or some shit. And it's like, I don't know what's going on because it's like, it's supposed to be tailored to the unit that receives the item, not the unit that died. But I think it's still tailored to the unit that dies sometimes, but not all the time. So like, I don't know what's going on with this augment, so I try to avoid it. But here it makes sense because it's like, if Shaco kills a unit, I think it's better than the other options I had. I would say this is a little bit of a low roll on the augments. There was lots of other things that are really big hits. Anything that scales up my units or their survivability a little bit better would be better. Here, I'm not playing anything that has a lot of armor. I don't have armor items. So I feel like Noble Sacrifice is probably going to be worse than Scavenger. Because at least with Shaco, I'm going to instant kill a unit. Even if the item's bad, I'm going to get value off Scavenger like instantly. Right? So that's where Scavenger matters. Scavenger isn't good if you're like ramping up like a Zeri comp where you're not killing anything, for example. Maybe it's good on Zeri because items, but it's like, you know, it's good on these. See, Shaco killed 2 units and I got 2 items instantly. Right? That's where it matters a lot. And you can see the items are good here, right? But then look, he just got a Gwinsu at one point. That's what I'm saying. I don't understand. So look, they got tank item, tank item, tank item, tank item, and then he just has a fucking Gwinsu. Like, I don't get it. Like, why does he have a Gwinsu as the last item? You know what I mean? Like, I don't, that's why I don't like the augment, because sometimes it just griefs. But like, maybe that's just me, maybe it's still good, but that's what I mean. Like, I don't understand how sometimes you just get like a random item. It's, I don't know. Maybe it's still bugged, I don't know. So that's why I avoid it. But anyways, we're just gonna keep rocking, having a nice time. We have lots of gold here, so we're gonna roll for Senna Jarvan 3. It was also gold orb drop, so I was able to make a Slayer emblem. Don't get baited into making a Syndicate emblem. It's always Slayer emblem because it's a lot easier to hit that stabilization point. So I got the thing. It was gold orb drop, so like, you know, we're continuing our high roll, which means the entire board completes itself on level 7, which makes it a lot easier to stabilize. A lot of times this is the point in the game where you're not super stable, because at one point, even if you ramp up the Shaco infinitely, he starts to fall off. And when he starts to fall off, it becomes really like awkward at times. Anyways, we get the Xayah instantly, which is great for us, just one tapped. So we're gonna win this fight no matter what. But this is the part, this is what I was saying, why you usually want to have a 3-star unit, either Vayne or Shaco, because at this point now, you want to roll a lot of gold very slowly to try and find the Senna and the Jarvan. Especially the Jarvan is usually the hardest to find because a lot of boards play Jarvan. He has 3 synergies. Look, even this guy's holding Jarvan. Is he holding it to grief me? No, this guy's not griefing me. This guy's playing Jarvan because it fits on his board. He's playing Vanguard Marksman. He needs to play Jarvan, right? But it's something that indirectly is going to make it really hard for me to play the game. But anyways, let's see these. I could just play like super tempo and go malicious monetization. I think that's a little bit whack. Support items are good. There's a lot of them that are good hits, but long distance pals, really great. Why? Because my units have so much AD and they scale really well off their AD. I also have this guy getting infinite AD. So it's a no-brainer to me. It's similar to like Marksman. You just get a lot of value off of it. I can take all the AD on this guy and I can put all that AD on this Senna, and we could just have a grand old time just doing an insane amount of damage. Here, I'm rolling really deep. The reason I'm rolling really deep is basically my own stupidity. So I want to continue my win streak, and I didn't put Vayne in my team planner. So I skipped a Vayne. I think I skipped 2 Vaynes, right? You saw me skip a Vayne right there. I just missed a Vayne. I was rolling, like, you know, not only to upgrade all my units to keep my win streak going, because I'm basically 100 streaking the game, but I was also rolling for 6 Slayer because I have the Slayer emblem. So I wanted either Vayne or, what's his name? The other guy. Vayne or Zed. And as you can see, I rolled till around 20 gold. I just didn't hit any of them. I'm one off Senna as well with a golden dupe. But I also have Renekton, and Slayer Renekton is really strong and really high cap. So I wanted to find the Vayne so I can just continue to win streak because I wanted the power spike of 6 Slayer. But I definitely overrolled a little bit. I should have stopped at 30 gold, to be fair. I should have stopped at 30 gold here. But it was just like, you know, the panic of it. Like, I want to keep my win streak because, like, especially with this comp, in my experience, no matter how good your start is, you just lose later in the game. Like, there are so many times where I'm playing Shaco and my spot looks exactly the same as this, and then I go 5th. Because, like, 3 people hit Urgot, or, like, 2 people hit Dynamo or some shit, and my Shaco just gets one-tapped. Additionally, I didn't hit, because I had to make the Slayer emblem, I used my cloak to make the Slayer emblem, right? So I don't have QSS on this guy, so if I fight a Sejuani and he gets stunned, he'll just die instantly as well, which is another thing that I'm worried about. So, like, that's a whole ass other problem that I have to deal with. Anyways, one thing that we skipped, I'll pause for a second just to mention it. I didn't mention the second augment, Piercing Lotus. That's why I don't have any, like, crit anywhere or any sundering anywhere, because this basically makes all my attacks crit, which is amazing. I have infinite AD. I have some damage amp from some other sources like this guy. So everybody's critting. And they have infinite AD because that's what Slayer is. It's just a bunch of AD. So I'm scaling that up. I'm doing really well. It's Turbo Bis. It's obviously going to be really good here. So 100% we're taking that. And then eventually I want to put QSS and some glove items on everybody so that I realize the full potential of my board. Here, because I'm LDP, I'm just putting both the units in the corners because I'm trying to make it easy for me to swap between the two of them. And this Senna is just going to chunk people. I could use my golden dupe and just have Senna 3 to keep my win streak. However, I feel like because I have the Renekton and I have the Slayer emblem, all I really need here is one Senna, which should be okay to find. I can just wait until I find it. And then I'm going to use my golden dupe probably on Renekton 2 if I have to. I didn't find many Jarvans, so this might be a little bit awkward later in the game if I don't hit the Jarvan 3. So we'll see how my front line pans out towards the end of the game. But for right now, we're doing okay. So we're fine for as is. More components is fine because my Senna items are kind of whack. Obviously, I got dropped a lot of rods, a lot of random components. I can't make like perfect items everywhere. But eventually, I want to make QSS on the Shaco or the Senna, one or the other. Because QSS works really well because it gives a lot of crit, gives a lot of attack speed, which synergizes well with my augments of having crit doing the sundering. But anyways, here we're just trying to like scam the backline. I think when I scouted, as you can see, don't always go for the corner. Here, I scouted and I saw that this was a really good option. Sometimes with Spectral Cutlass, by the way, you don't have to teleport directly into a corner. Even teleporting somewhere in the middle, as long as you're not targeting the front line and you're able to get a wrap and just rain havoc on the back line, try and find open areas in the back line just to kill units. Because look here, like I find my open area. Here it works out because I was positioning specifically for this guy because I want to dodge this Mundo and I want to dodge the Zyra because she has Edge of Night. So like if I hit the Zyra, then my Shaco turns around, then I don't kill anybody, then he gets targeted and he dies. I don't want to deal with it. So instead I just targeted the Seraphine. But the positioning that I picked going this way rather than this way is because there was an open spot on another guy's board. Right? That's like the main idea there. But anyways, we can 1v2 this. It's fine as long as my Shaco's still alive. We're going to win this out. And bang. Almost a one tap, but not quite. Here I definitely messed up my position. I messed up my position a little bit this way though, because I don't have LDP. So my LDP wasn't on my Shaco and my Senna, but it's fine when you have a lot of Slayers. Here I think I messed up a little bit. We can go more. I'm still 100 streaking, so there's not much to see here. QSS, I just put on Renekton for now. Oh yeah, I just hit Senna 3. So I Senna 3, level for Renekton 2, use my dupe on the Renekton. And now I just want to rearrange all my items. We got implant speed, so I'm going to put it on the Shaco. And then it's just a matter of like replacing everything. So I have 3 removers. I'm just going to rearrange all of these items in a way that I like. So I want to put QSS on Shaco probably. Then I want to put Guinsoo on Senna or Renekton, but usually Senna. And then probably Gunblade Renekton if I really want to. And that's how I want to rearrange the items. So I'm going to wait one turn just because I was deciding on it. I didn't have enough time, so I'm just not going to fuck around and waste my removers. It might cost me a round because I think I'm going to get one tapped by this guy. Yeah. See, this guy put the Vi over here, so it blocked my spot, which was a little bit awkward. Yeah, we just get railed by Cypher. But that's fine. Cypher's going to be hard to crack because this Galio's hard to kill. Z2, everything here. But if we scam and we kill one of these backline units, we definitely win for sure. Because if we just cut the damage, like my Shaco just died way too fast. And then once Shaco dies, the whole board kind of falls apart, especially without Jarvan 3. I didn't roll for Jarvan 3, by the way, because I wanted to level for this Renekton. This Renekton not only works as frontline, but also does a shit ton of damage. So I'm totally fine with just leveling, being level 8. Especially since there's a lot of other boards that have Jarvans. The Cypher player has Jarvan, and then there's a Vanguard Marksman player. So especially when I'm so far away from it, I'd rather just level, have that power spike. Okay, so here I'm going to rearrange the items like I said, just to make sure that my Shaco doesn't get stunned. It's always Slayer Emblem on Renekton. Senna will heal up anyways, so it's fine if I take the suck on the Senna with the Renekton, because he's going to be strong enough. Gunblade isn't that useful anymore, but it's fine. I'll just give him a little bit of Omnivamp on my Renekton. I'm still going to put Morello on Senna just because, like, maybe I can Gunblade Senna instead, but I think she just spreads the Morello a little bit better, so I'm kind of down for this. My Shaco got one-tapped, by the way. This is what happens sometimes. This is what I mean. It doesn't matter how many stacks you have on Shaco. Sometimes he just teleports in the back line. If you don't one-shot the unit, I 100-streaked the whole game, and I lost, like, 2 fights, and I still die instantly to this guy because I just didn't one-tap. He has investment strategy, by the way, so that's why his backline's not dying instantly, right? I didn't one-tap the Seraphine, and then everybody targeted him, and, you know, 6 techie or whatever, or 4 techie, they have enough AP to just one-tap, so I just died. So, you know, it is what it is. Anyways, let's fast forward a little bit, because we don't have to watch every single fight. But basically, I just get a bunch of Edge of Knights off different augments. I level, I play Garen. I'm trying to get Slayer mod so that I can maybe put 3 items on Renekton instead, or I can put Slayer mod on Garen. But basically, I'm just hitting Vanguard mod here, which is fine. It was probably Vanguard the Shaco anyways. But we're just going to rock this. We're going to try our best. Here, I took red buff just for attack speed on the Renekton, because I think he has enough Omnivamp. He just really wants attack speed. If you're ever playing Renekton, by the way, attack speed is BIS, because he just, like, the way that he works, you just want him to have a bunch of auto attacks. It's why rapid fire Renekton's so great. Additionally, the range also helps there. And then we're itemizing our Z as well, which is really nice. So, you know, the Mundo comp's going to be hard to crack because we're not one-tapping. But here, as you can see, I'm just trying to get a wrap. So this guy, he positioned everything so that my Shaco can't really get into the back line. So instead, what do? I teleport him over here so that he can, like, hopefully target the Z. The Z teleports away. And then my Shaco now, look where he is. He's raining havoc. He teleported away, but the whole back line's destroyed. It's already too late. We got too many units back there. So we get the kill here. And it's just a matter of converting it into a first, which is the last couple of rounds. This guy, obviously, extremely strong, right? Urgot, Boombot, all sorts of crazy shit, right? I'm not trying to pretend like this guy isn't strong. He's obviously strong as shit. There's also the other player who's also another Urgot player that we have to worry about. This guy's just like one player. Watch. There's 2 people alive. They're both playing like giga-capped boards. It's going to be a mess. But anyways, I can just take a Giant Slayer here. Now I'm at the point that I have Z2, by the way. So Z2 is going to make this really nice for me. Oh, no, I don't think I have Z2 yet. Yeah, I don't have Z2 yet. We have Cypher, and then we have Boombot left over in this game. So here, it's just a matter of, like, taking one of these. I think Divinicorp, there's so few stats because I only have 2 Divinicorp in. So I'd rather just put in Vanguard. Because it just gives him a health shield, right? He gets a shield at the start and at 50% health. So I'm kind of more down for that. And then I'm just trying to position in such a way. I'm fighting this guy, so, you know, it's the same old, same old. He doesn't look like he's positioning in, like, the full, like, corner setup. Maybe he has, like, maybe it says that he's fighting 2 different people, so he doesn't know who he's fighting. But I'm down to just, like, wrap the back line, right? So long as I'm somewhere over here, right? As you can see, the Shaco, he's teleporting this way. I just found my way in, and I just deleted the whole back line. Right? Just find a way in. That's like the most important thing always. Just find a way into the back line, beyond the front line, avoid the main tank, and then you should be fine to basically just like chunk everybody and win. Right? That Cypher, dead. This guy didn't expect to lose. He had like 50 gold set up. He was playing for win out. All we need is one cheese. That's what Spectral Cutlass is. All it is cheese. That good old Gouda. But now we can roll for Zed. So I'm rolling for Zed. Zed 2, I'm fighting the Urgot player. Basically, I have 39 HP. This is pretty much unlosable because all I need to do is guess right once. Right? I have around 3 lives here, right? Stage damage. Like, I should be alive for 3 times. And all I need to do is get my Shaco to kill the unit 1 time. All I need to do is get him to kill this Urgot 1 time, and I win out, right? Like, there's no way this Zac is going to solo. And what do you know? We won the 50-50. Bang. GG. That's a Shaco game. Or that's a Slayer game. But this is how it usually has to be, right? Obviously, this looked really high roll. But you can see, like, I already almost lost out, right? I'm 39 HP. There's a good chance that I could have ended up 3rd this game. If I didn't have Spectral Cutlass, I 100% am not going to be able to reliably top 4 here, right? How many of these fights are Spectral Cutlass diff? Pretty much all of them, right? Do you think that I'm beating the Mundo board, this board with the Zed, with the Zac, or the other board without Spectral Cutlass? Fuck no. This was a game where I 100 streaked with Spectral Cutlass, and I have full stacks on the Shaco from all the stages, right? He killed every single unit. I'm sorry I didn't show you the actually AD thing. I should have shown that to you guys. But, like, that's the only way that this ended up as a first. And that's what I mean. Whenever you're playing in these type of boards, like these type of games, you want to be very, that's what I say, like, you want to make sure you have an artifact when you play these comps. You could play them without an artifact 100% and you'll be fine, but you need that extra power spike to guarantee you to get to a point where you can actually win. Like, that is Slayer Emblem, Renekton 2, or an artifact, and I still lost a lot of fights, and it came down to, like, whether or not I can cheese with the Spectral Cutlass. That's what I mean. The unit, you have to be careful when you play these comps, right? And Vayne is the same way. So that's why, like, there's not a full dedicated Slayer guide, but hopefully this one was informative enough and fun enough. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and see ya. Bye-bye. Hopefully this was a great way that I tried to incorporate the guide and the VOD review, and we'll try and see if we can do, like, a more revised version of this in the future, so long as I have VODs to accompany the how to play guides. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.